Airtable just released a brand new way to visualize your data in an Airtable interface. We are talking about the roadmap view type that was previously not available until now. This is a Kanban style with swim lanes. So think rows and columns in your new view that is available to the premium Airtable plans, allowing you to visualize your data in ways you never could before. So if learning about this roadmap view is of interest to you, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth and this is Gap Consulting. It's our mission here to help you get the full potential out of your no-code tools like Airtable. And in this video, as I said, we're going to be taking a look at Airtable's newest view type in the interfaces, which is called the roadmap. But before we get into the heart of the video, I first want to invite you to join me for some Airtable training. We have put together an Airtable crash course that will teach you the key features of Airtable. If you're brand new to the system, or if you've been using it for a while, but you know there's more to it and you haven't quite figured it out yet, grab that free training at gapconsulting.io/Airtable-crash-course. You can sign up there with your email for free, and we will deliver that course to your inbox. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on into my screen, and we are going to start by talking about prices. So this is the bad news, and I'm going to hit you with it first. The brand new view is only available right here to your business and enterprise scale customers. This is a point of contention. I figured we better rip off that Band-Aid and just address the elephant in the room before going any further. So what does this mean? This means that if you're not paying $50 or more per month per user for Airtable, then you're not going to have access to the roadmap view. I've heard a lot of grumbling about this. I'm not surprised. You know, this is a view that is in many ways very similar to a Kanban view with rows added to it. I mean, that's basically what it is, right? Kanban plus horizontal grouping. But unfortunately, it's one of those new features that people have been requesting a lot of. I mean, I've heard requests for this view type, for swim lanes especially. I've heard requests for this view for years from the Airtable community. And it's taken Airtable quite a while to get there. So we have to, kind of temper our excitement a little bit, but at the same time, I understand where Airtable's coming from. Listen, folks, they are trying to generate greater profitability, like most businesses. They are trying to get more and more people on that business and enterprise scale plan. So it does make some sense that they are putting the newest features on those tiers, right? So listen, I agree with you. I'm sure a lot of people are going to have comments. This should be a team related feature, but this is the reality, right? So of course, feel free to drop your comments. Let me know how you feel about the pricing tier. Maybe it's time to upgrade to business, or maybe you don't really care about this view all that much. Let's go ahead and drop into Airtable to actually see, is the view even worth all the talk? Well, the first thing I want to point out inside the view itself is you can't actually add this view inside the data layer. And honestly, I think this is by design. Frankly, we are seeing more and more people transitioning into those interfaces. So as a quick reminder, 5 years ago, before interfaces was a thing in Airtable, all we had was the data layer. And inside the data layer, we had to try to visualize our data as best we could. And that's why views played such a key role. Nowadays, now that interfaces have evolved to the point where they are as versatile as they are today, we don't need our views in the data layer anymore. So if you are a person who still loves to live in the data layer, Airtable is really kind of shifting you into those interfaces, into the front end. And my personal opinion is you will be grateful once you make that transition. Building in the data layer, great. I still do that too. But accessing the data, interfaces are king because they allow you to streamline what you're seeing, lock down what people are allowed to edit, all that good stuff. So don't be too surprised, but yeah, we're not able to get that new view here inside our data layer. So that takes us to the interface. And this is what that actually looks like. Here's a demo that I drew up for a client actually just the other day. And this is the finished product. After we kind of go through what we're looking at, I'm going to take you back behind the scenes and you can see how we set this up. So a couple of things. Number one, we've got our stacks, our columns. This looks almost identical to the Kanban view, right? So in this particular case, we're looking at status. So we've got the assigned to status, the in progress, the review, and the completed status. And things are moving through the process. But then you'll notice, and this is where it's different from Kanban, the swim lanes or the grouping, the rows, the horizontal collections here. And so we're able to then, in this case, look at the different things that are here in the various stages, but also grouped or horizontally collected by who they're assigned to. So this gives you a lot more data insight, right? So right here, at a glance, you can see that we've got two different people who are designers in this proof of concept, and they are looking at this data, and you can see pretty quickly what someone's capacity is. So I want to highlight for you a couple of things that I think are really quite valuable when we build this out. Number one, just like the Kanban view, we can click, drag things and drop them around. We can also drop them and reassign them. So in this case, if I were to let go of this, boom, you see that it was actually reassigned to this person. So in this case, Gareth is the new designer assigned to this, and we shifted the in progress status. So we're able to essentially update multiple parts of the record with a couple of shifts and clicks and drags and all that. We can also click into this just as we could with the Kanban. We also get the capability of updating this card just as we could with the Kanban view. So we can choose what shows up here, although the customization is actually a little bit more robust, and I'll go into that detail when we're looking at the back end. Now, the other thing I want to highlight here is that we get these summary counts. And this can be really helpful for, let's say, capacity planning. So right here, if we had these two designers and we knew that they were both full-time, we could see that Gareth has much more work on his plate than Sarah in this example. So here we've got a lot more stacked here. But not only do we get those numbers summed up for the rows, we also get them summed up for the stacking vertical stacks as well. So here we've got assigned 7. So we can see that there are 5 here and 2 here. And it's totaling for 7 in the column and totaling for 13 and then 8 in the rows. Now that's kind of cool for the at-a-glance look, but we are also able to customize even better what is going to show up here on this page. And I want to show you that now. So let's go into the actual building of the interface, which means that we would go into edit those pages. And in this case, this page type is that new roadmap. So you can see here that visualization has been chosen, and we could, of course, elect for other visualizations and toggle this off, but of course we want it on for our demo. So once we have gotten into the roadmap here, let's take a look at the different options. We have to click into the roadmap view itself, and here we go. The first thing is coming down to the image field. So if you want to bring in, if you have an image and you want to bring it in on the card, you can do that. I would caution you, though, that this is going to take up a lot of real estate. And since the goal of this view is to allow us to stack things both horizontally and vertically, I don't think that a lot of people are going to wind up leveraging that image field. Now, you can also elect to change the title field, which is a recent update that's been happening to many of Airtable's interfaces. You don't have to use the primary field or the leftmost field in your table. So mine is request name. It is what I'm using, but I could use something else like the due date or whatever else. And that is going to be that bold part at the top where you see annual report or policy update. That is the title field component. Now, the fields are what are shown under there in the body of the card, right? So we can elect to bring in multiple components if we want to display them visually. Generally, again, I think less is more when it comes to something like this, and I allow my users most often to click into the record, as you see there, and here we can display more information when they expand the record view. But generally, and again, this is just my own best practice kind of personally, I prefer to make my cards as small as possible so that I can see more stuff consolidated on the view. Now, this is a new-ish feature that I don't remember seeing before. It's a footer. So not only do we have the fields, but we can also bring in a footer. Like, let's pull in the due date here, and you'll see that it gets this grayed out, or not normal font. It's slightly discolored, and it's a little bit smaller. And we can hover over it, of course, to get that little pop-up that shows us what that is. So we can bring in multiple things. Let's go ahead and bring in the requester as well. You can see that they just kind of get, tagged along right there next to each other, which is, in my opinion, a pretty cool feature. Like, it just looks clean, and we can just add a little bit of stuff there at the bottom on that footer, and it doesn't take up a ton of real estate, which I really like. So this is nice. This is all about the card display. Of course, we also have these capabilities of customizing the appearance. As you see here, we can change the title size and elect for a compact layout or not, and we can wrap those long cell values. Personally, I think the needing of showing the field names is probably not needed, so I tend to like that compact layout. And the title size, reducing it to small, it's just a small change, but I think a good one. Again, I want to get as much on that page as possible. We've also got the color option that we have in many other views or interfaces. So if we have a select field, we can color the records by that. Here's what it looks like. It just adds that little splash of color on the side of the card. Very similar, if not identical, to the Kanban, right? So the real change comes down into the columns and rows. Now, rows is something that is uniquely available to the roadmap. And effectively, as I said earlier, this is swim lanes, right? So the rows component allows you to group by not one, not two, but 3 fields. So we can come in here and group by numerous different things if we would like. So I could group by the designer who it's been assigned to, which is an Airtable user field in this case. And then within that, I can group by the priority of a request. And so here I can collapse my high priorities, my medium priorities, my low priorities. You can see at a glance where people are, again, giving you even more information on those capacity issues. Just as I highlighted earlier, if you click and drag something and release it within rows, it will take on the new priority as well. So if you've got subgroups within your groups, in this case, I've got my lane of users or designers, and then within that, I'm grouping by the priority. I can continue to move records throughout, and wherever I let them go, they're going to take on those new status, those new priorities, those new requesters, those new all the different elements of wherever I'm releasing the record. In addition to that, we have the ability to update the label size, so we can make it much larger if you would so like. And you can toggle off showing the number of records, although I don't know why you would do this, because I think it's one of the best components of this view. Having that little number summation there in that area is perfect. One other thing to highlight, of course, is if we want to be able to click and drag things and remove or just drop them at different places, we do need to have edit records in line toggled on. If this is toggled off, it's read only, right? I can't move it. I can still click into it, which is a different action. So if you want that, make sure to enable the click into record details. Personally, I like editing records in line. I don't necessarily want people to add new records in line, but you could allow for this as well. When you toggle this on, people can just, boom, add a new record in that very space. When they make that choice, in this case, you know the designer, you know the priority, and you know what status it's in. So I can just give it a name. Let's go test. And as soon as I X out of here, you're going to see it right there because I clicked it in that in progress status. So whether you like that option or not, I'll leave that up to you. For me, I think I'll leave that off in most use cases, but definitely I do want to be able to click and drag these things and release them throughout. Now, the other thing that I really want to highlight for you, because I found this to be kind of unique to this view, is that I can manually choose what columns I'm showing. So here I have a status for new. And the idea behind this proof of concept was new requests come in and they automatically get the new status. And then it's up to our creative team to assign that new request to a designer. And so if the designers are using this to manage their workflow or their workload, they don't need to see the new requests until they've actually been assigned to them. And so you can just hide that particular element. So these are all different status here. And this is, again, on our vertical stacking here. And we can choose some of these to hide. Like maybe we don't want to show those things that are complete. Let's hide it. And then the nice thing about this is once we've hidden those things, they are no longer showing up in the sum for these records. So you'll see that, Gareth here, in this case, this designer, has 8. Well, if I were to go back in and show it again, let's show complete, you'll see that that number 8 changed to 13 because there are 7 in the complete status. So in this case, if I want to see what someone's active workload is, I can make sure to only show certain status or certain, options within a single select field. And that is going to give me better numeric tracking on those summed options there. Now, similarly, on the rows, when it comes down to grouping, you'll notice that we do not have the option to hide specific or show specific elements. So only on the vertical do we have the option to show specific columns. And this at a glance, is really helpful. It's showing us how many different records already fit in those different elements. So I find this view to be pretty robust. Definitely adds a lot more oomph to what was previously just a pretty simple Kanban view, right? So it's taking the Kanban view really to the next level. The last thing I want to highlight for you is that it's also available on dashboards. So you can add this element as I've done right here. So here it is. I have that roadmap element dropped into my dashboard. So if you need to see your records there, it doesn't have to be a standalone page that you're building with the new roadmap view. You can drop it into any other element within your interfaces, just as we've done here. I know we went really quickly in this video to cover this new view. I hope you got a ton of value from it and maybe give it a shot yourself if you're on those premium tiers. Of course, if you have questions that we didn't address in the video, feel free to swing by our website. We have a ton of resources available there for you. And if you did get value, we'd love a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Of course, the most important thing though, keep on building.